Hello, everyone. I'm Darien Gold, and welcome to All Things Pilates Season 7. In this season, you'll hear inspiring stories about the healing power of Pilates and from teachers around the world who will share how they're helping to make Joseph Pilates' wish come true by bringing more attention to the gift he left us, Contrology, transforming bodies one studio and one country at a time. This season features stories about illness, injuries, and health challenges, and how Contrology has influenced and reshaped those stories. For our first episode of Season 7, I'd like to introduce you to my guest, Ale Sain, a Pilates studio owner in Costa Rica and creator of a new type of Pilates certification program, which she'll discuss later in the show. But first, it's Ali's extraordinary experience of how she discovered the healing power of Pilates. Her story is one of sickness, sorrow, and faith. For those who feel there is no hope in improving your health, no confidence in recovering from an injury, or simply not having faith that your life can get better, this episode is especially for you. Welcome to the show, Ali.
Thank you. Thank you. With that introduction, you inspired me already. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. Ali, for context, before we learn about your very traumatic but life-changing experience, will you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, I'm Argentinian. I was born in Argentina, but I think I was raised in so many different countries. Because of my father, my family, we traveled around. And this is important because I think I never really found my identity because I left Argentina when I was 3 and we traveled to so many different countries. And we were 4, my parents and my brother. And during this journey of traveling from one country, I'm telling you, we would stay a year, 2 years, 3 years in one country and then move on. My parents were very athletic. So they made sure we were into the sports industry somewhere or another. They told us we had to learn a sport. So my sport was swimming. I loved swimming, and it seemed like I was really good at it. So at a very young age, at the age of 6, 7, I already started swimming. I was a swimmer. You know, every country we would go to, I was in a swimming team. But I knew, Darren, from a very young age that I didn't want to be a swimmer. I wanted to be an actress.
Oh.
So acting was my passion.
Wait, did you tell anyone?
Yes, the only person I told was my mother. I'm very close to my mother. And she, they thought it, like every parent, acting is great, but don't take it serious. For them, they were very athletic. My mom was an aerobics instructor. She was a marathonist. My dad was more of a scientist. So the reason I'm telling you this is because swimming is very important because it comes into my life later on with Pilates. And so does acting. As we went on from country to country, I kept insisting my parents, please give me the opportunity to act somewhere, put me into acting classes. And they would say no. They wouldn't, you gotta go swim. I did love swimming. It's still a passion for me. It's the best sport for me because you don't get any injuries in water. It's a complete exercise. It works your body all together. But acting was my priority. And when we lived in Mexico, went to a swim meet to Acapulco, and this is part of my story. And on our way back, we had a very tremendous car accident. And the only person injured was myself. The glass went right into my head. I didn't have my seatbelt on. My head was on my brother's lap. So a bus hit us. Oh. And we were in between Mexico City and Acapulco. I'm telling you, that's about 10 hours difference. And we were in the middle. So my parents went crazy because all the blood was coming down I think in Spanish, I'm speaking in English. And so
the bus hit your side of the car?
Yes, my side. But my father wasn't injured. My brother wasn't injured. My mother wasn't injured. And it was a hardcore accident. I was the one injured. But the story comes when that they had to do a blood transfusion immediately, and we didn't have time. There was no hospital close, and the closest hospital was a very I can say very like poor hospital in the middle of nowhere. And it seemed that if I didn't do that blood transfusion immediately, and they operated me immediately there, I would die. So I had that done to me. That's where the biggest consequences of my life was going to happen after that. I was 12 years old when that happened to me. And it was a very hard moment. We went back to Mexico and I went through that moment.
Did you keep swimming after you healed?
After I got operated and all that happened, I didn't swim immediately. It was very traumatic. And by the age of 14, we came to Costa Rica, where I'm at right now. When we came to Costa Rica, I was in the swimming team also here. I kept swimming, but I did my last 3 years of high school. And that's when I told my parents, I'm going to New York to study acting. And they said, good luck. And they did not support me.
Oh, they said good luck, but not in an encouraging, positive way.
Besides, I was very good at math. I had this full scholarship to go to a very good college in the States. But before going to New York at the age of 16, sorry, I did an audition to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And I did it on my own. I paid my own ticket. I worked really hard in Costa Rica to get, because I did not have the support of my dad. He supported me afterwards when he saw that I really was.
Did you have to audition live in New York City? You had to go there.
Yes. Yes. This was in 1993, 94, around 1993, I think it was. And I went there and I auditioned. And because they couldn't believe my story, I was so young and I went alone and I did my monologues. I was accepted with almost a 60% scholarship for the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, which that was the encouragement that started giving my parents, okay, maybe she is good at this. But you know what? Before going there, I was already having physical symptoms. I was in my last year of high school and I was having bruises coming out of my body out of nowhere. And we went to the doctor and the doctors kept saying here in Costa Rica, no, that's, it's normal, her period, it's not a big deal. Then I started telling my mom, I have pains in my articulations. Why is that? And the doctor said, oh, because you're growing and you're stretching. And so I did have strange symptoms and strange things.
But were you swimming? Was this happening while you were swimming?
Yes, I swam until I graduated high school. Yes, I swam until I graduated high school. But after that blood transfusion, I was around 12. By the age of 15, 16, I started feeling things in my body that were not normal. But they kept telling me it was normal.
They didn't put two and two together.
No, nobody would at that time either. The blood transfusion saved my life, but it was killing me inside at the same time. When I went to New York, I pursued my career. And one of the things I do want to say here is that I learned something very important, which is I was obsessed with becoming an actress. I didn't take care of my body, even though I was into swimming, even though I ate well. I was obsessed. It was like I didn't care. I didn't love myself. I loved acting. And I said to myself, I will do anything it takes for me to be on stage, anything to be on film. So I was willing to give it all. The American Academy is a 2-year program, actually a 3-year program. You have to be called back the third year for company year. Every year you finish, you are called back. So the first year I finished, I came back to Costa Rica and anxious to get not an email, a letter. You were invited back. I got the letter and I was so excited. And my parents started supporting me. I went back the second year. But as I went back the second year, a lot of things started happening. I started having a lot of hair loss, like a lot. I told my parents about it and we went to the doctor and they did a blood test and they said everything was normal.
God.
As I was in my second year of the American Academy, I started losing a lot of weight. I started there was no appetite in me. It was very slow. All these symptoms grew very slow, but I made a choice. I won't forget in the second year to not say a word to my parents anymore because I was feeling they were getting stressed. They're in Costa Rica. I'm in New York. I was very young. And I said, I'm just going to keep going. And I kept going. I graduated. I did company year because it was an associate degree. I applied to NYU and I also got a scholarship to get my bachelor's degree in acting. As I was in that process going to NYU, I was already doing off Broadway. I was doing TV commercials. I was doing pretty good as an actress.
What years are we talking?
I finished the American Academy in 1995, and then I was entering 1996 for NYU. I was going to do 3 years there because they recognized my associate degree from the American Academy. But before graduating is when my body just didn't resist anymore. I started having a lot of pain all over my body.
And were you eating or you had no appetite at all?
There was no appetite because when finally I was going through the process, I mean, there was no appetite because there was a lot of pain in my throat. And it seems like everything was inflamed in my body. So my organs were affected. My articulations were all inflamed. It's like if you're a big inflammation all over your body, even though.
Were you scared?
No, I wasn't.
You weren't scared.
No, I wasn't scared because I was obsessed. I realize now if it would happen to me right now, I would be scared. I was just so at the same time naive. I thought I was invincible. I thought, no, I thought nothing was going to happen to me because I don't know why.
Because you were obsessed.
Yeah. And as I kept going, I knew something was wrong. And I said inside of me, if I have to die, I will die on stage. And I was ready for that, believe it or not. I think maybe I was a strange soul in that moment, but I didn't think about the pain I was going to leave my parents, the pain I could leave my family, myself, and what kind of example. I never went to the doctor from the second year of the American Academy until almost graduating from NYU. I had decided to just not go anymore to doctors because I did go a lot to doctors when I was in Costa Rica, and I was very tired of that. And they wouldn't find results. So I started wearing wigs.
Oh, because your hair had fallen out that much.
Yes, I had patches and yes. Oh, yeah. You would see holes in my hair. My hair was very long. So I started wearing wigs. I cut my hair short and I started wearing a wig. And people, note. And I just, I'm an actress. I want to change.
Get into character.
Yeah, I'm in character. And as I was in my Alexander technique, and they would give us Alexander and Feldenkrais in college, I was taking Alexander and the teacher says, you don't look good. And I fainted in class. And that's when they take me to the hospital.
So you fainted. Was your wig on or off?
It fell off when I fall.
Oh, you fell. The wig that you were wearing.
We're sitting on chairs doing Alexander technique, the neck extension and just feeling the technique. And I fall and the wig falls off. And it was a shock to everybody. That's when they take me to the hospital. And that's where the truth comes out, when they finally diagnose me and tell me what I have. And they call my parents. But it was very.
What did you have?
I was diagnosed with there's two types of lupus. I had a lupus. There's the skin lupus. It's an immune sickness. And I had the one in my organs. It had advanced. All my organs were totally affected and not working as they should be working. And I had a leukemia. I don't know. I can't really tell you how advanced it was, but I think it was very advanced because they said it was not even worth doing chemo.
Oh.
Too strong blood sicknesses because, lupus is in the bloodstream. And all of this, they concluded in New York that it was because of the blood transfusion that was put in my body was not the right blood for my body, believe it or not.
They didn't know how to check blood types.
No, I don't know. I think they just put any blood at that moment in my life. I don't remember. I was dying in that car accident. I don't know if I should say this, but when I was treated in Mexico, it was in a veterinarian. It wasn't a hospital.
Oh my goodness gracious.
There was no hospital. I just don't want it for people to think how irresponsible the parents are, but it was our own.
Well, that's all that was available.
It was the only thing right there. I would have not made it. So the veterinarian had to sew me, and I fainted because there was no anesthesia for me. Anesthesia, so say it in English.
Anesthesia.
Yeah, anesthesia. And he did the blood transfusion, or I would have not made it. And my parents said, do whatever. And that was paying the consequences afterwards, many years after. And when I had that sickness, the doctor, I was awake, and the doctor said, you should have, they kind of said, why didn't you come earlier? You had symptoms. And I was just in that moment, just wanting my parents to be there. And they came like a day or 2 days later, and they were devastated. And I think right after that, so it was 6 days in total, is when my heart stopped. It didn't resist. In
Oh.
that moment, my mom tells me it was seconds, but what I'm going to tell you is just seconds. But for me, I felt like if it was 24 hours, what they were doing is, how do you say, when they were resurrecting you again with the equipment?
The EKG?
Yes, exactly. That they pressure here to make your heart beat again.
Yes. Defibrillator.
Yes, yes. My mom said that my heart stopped, but it could have been seconds and it was back. But for me, it wasn't seconds because I remember leaving my body, looking at myself, looking at my mother, and I didn't know what was happening until I saw one of my great friends from high school who had died
Oh,
extended his arm towards me.
that just gave me chills.
I recognized him and I gave him my hand, and I was in another dimension. I was somewhere else. And it was this beautiful, and this is where my life changes because it was this beautiful place. I can't tell you if there's what I was feeling, seeing my parents, because when I came out of my body, I looked at my parents, but immediately I saw my friend. And immediately, with no doubt, I take his hand and I leave with no doubt. I go to this beautiful place.
When you took his hand, did you actually feel the pressure of his hand?
No, because all you feel is energy. What I felt like his body, what I was going to say, this place that I went, you do recognize people, but the body is not like our bodies. So it's like particles of light. And as he extended his arm was transformed in the moment. So his body was being made as he moved. It's not like it's a static body. Like if the person would be walking, the body's formed as they walk. And it's like particles of energy and light. But you do see the nose, you do see the mouth, you do see the eyes.
Did he smile at you or say anything?
No words whatsoever, just a smile, just a smile. And in this place, I saw old people, young people. But what really impressed me was how beautiful the place was. Like the city, it was like I would see a city, and the city was all of energy and crystal and the blue water, and it was all crystal-like. At one point, and I think this was very important for me because I just saw a line like a wedding, like if you were walking down an aisle and there was a whole bunch of people, but they were like angels at the same time, and this beautiful light that people talk about. And I did see that beautiful light. And what I saw was what I felt, not saw, what I felt was a voice, but I can't tell you what language. It's not English, it's not Spanish, but the voice spoke to my spirit, is what I feel. What I understood, it said, are you sure, Alejandrina? Which my name is Alejandrina, my full name. And right there, all I remember is turning my head and seeing my mother crying. And I was back. See, I was asked, I think, if I wanted to continue because my head turns and I woke up. I mean, I woke up in my body. I was there in my body. When I was back in my body, it was very impressive because I didn't really wake up. I woke up from being in that place, coming back to my body, but I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't talk. And I know, I didn't know that in the moment, but I was in a coma. So I came back. I don't know other people's experiences, but in my experience, I could hear every single word, but I couldn't express. I couldn't wake up. I couldn't talk, couldn't say anything, but I could hear everything. And that was the hardest thing for me because I felt like I was in jail in my own body. I felt I was trapped. And that's the moment, Darien, that I said, oh my God, there's life after death. And just this body that we live in at the moment, much more. And I realized there's a God, And I realized that there's a beautiful place and God is love, because all you feel is love. There's nothing else but that. So when you feel that amazing, empowering love, you realize there's much more to life than just dreams and passions and things that we want to go for.
And obsessions.
And obsessions. Obsessions that all have obsessions, and it's important to let go of these obsessions. And it doesn't mean you don't have to pursue your goals and your dreams. Of course, you want to pursue them. But when they become an obsession that you have nowhere else to look and you're just into that, it's when you can really get into chaos in your life. And you realize that you convert that into a God. It's not really worth it. When I experienced that for me, what I realized is that I am loved, and I am loved just the way I am. I am loved just for who I am, and nothing has to change because I am love. I was made out of love.
That's a difficult concept to embrace for many of us who don't necessarily always feel like we are loved or that we have the capacity to love.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And you don't have to go through an experience like I did to feel that. But I think when you live an experience like I did, I have the obligation to tell the story. And this is why Pilates comes into my life. And I think Pilates is part of love, because if you love your body and you love yourself, you are going to understand more how to take care of yourself. And there's different ways.
Listen.
How to listen, how to observe yourself. You become your own observer, your own spirit. And you have to learn to take the spirit out of you and look at yourself and observe yourself. And Pilates is about observing yourselves. It's not just going to do the exercise, it's over and it's gone. No, it's a constant change. Pilates came to my life in that moment there when I was in a coma. And I had never heard of Pilates before. Never in my life. I did do a lot of Alexander technique, ballet, and all those things in college. But Pilates I had never heard of it. And I was living in New York.
Oh, wow. So you're in a coma. You're at this time, in this time frame that you're talking about, you're in a coma. And then how does Pilates actually enter into that time space?
It enters because I think the coma was mostly like almost 2 months. And you have to have somebody move your body. They have to exercise your body. And I was very young still. And I had this nurse/physical therapist that was my angel that came to me, and she started moving my legs, She was the one that did all these exercises for me. She would whisper, the first thing she would whisper in my ear is, if you can hear me, know that you have the power to heal yourself. If you can hear me, know that what's impossible for men is possible for God. If you can hear me, start visualizing your body as a uniform usage where you have the power to move, to heal your organs. And I started taking that and said, I can heal. God, you're going to heal me. I can do this. And everything she told me, I would hear. And she said, I'm going to give you a little bit of movement, which is called Pilates. And I don't know if she was really doing Pilates, but she said that. And I didn't really think about it in the moment, but she always said, now point and flex, this is Pilates. But I'm going to point your toes. She would move my feet, and then bring my legs in and out. And she would say the names of exercise, which today I could say single leg stretch, double leg stretch. And she would talk to me about faith, exercise, God, and Pilates. And that moment, I remember just thinking, I have to heal. I have to get out of this. I'm going to make it. And when I do wake up, which was a miracle, the doctors said it's a miracle. And the most important part of this, Darien, is when I wake up, I have no lupus, no cancer until this.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Everything was healed. Everything was healed. I couldn't feel my legs. That was the only problem. The doctors would cry because they said, the exams are clean. You're clean. And I think it was my miracle. This is very hard because I know a lot of people that I've told my testimony say, okay, so why did you get healed and others don't? And it's true. That's a hard thing. But I believe every person has their own journey. And I believe today that when you, let's say, die, you go to a beautiful place. The people who really suffer are the people who stay, but the people who go, it's like you live in this. At least my experience is evolving in our body. We evolve. It's the same feeling. You have to evolve. But before going to there, to finish this part of my story.
Hey everyone, are you ready to master your moves? I'm so excited to finally announce the long-awaited update of my 2 Studio Darien Pilates apps. You know, classical Pilates continues to take hold all over the world, and I was very determined to once again offer you a classical Pilates resource. So, my team and I redesigned these apps into one amazing app called Pilates Mastery. Included are the 5 original videos and an additional video, the first 7. Also 2 new parts, Pilates in 5 and my special series, Gold Talk. And for the cost of just 2 lattes and far more rejuvenating, Pilates Mastery is your go-to Pilates app, available in the App Store and Google Play. And now, back to the interview.
I wake up and the doctors realize I have no sensation on my legs. I don't feel. They can pinch me, and they had told my parents she's going to stay like that forever. She won't be able to walk. For some reason, they didn't know why. I met the nurse, which I cannot remember her name. She kept working with me, but we had to, because I'm not an American citizen, it was just getting too expensive. I had to go back to Argentina, even though my parents lived in Costa Rica. But in Argentina is where I was going to continue being treated, getting physical therapy. And she just said, you got to do Pilates. And I won't forget, write that name on a piece of paper, write it in a piece of paper, I told her, because I won't remember. And she writes it on a piece of paper. And I kept that little piece of paper for a very long time. I remember I left in a wheelchair. I told the college that I was going to come back to New York to graduate because I had not graduated yet, to remember me because I was going to come back. And I told my parents, when I get to Argentina, I want a Pilates. And my parents like, forget about Pilates. You got to heal yourself. And again, right, they're again against me. And I was like, I have to do Pilates because that's what the nurse said. She goes, she helps me heal. It was a very challenging moment. I had no hair.
But your language and your ability to speak was fine. And your eyesight.
At the beginning, it was hard to speak. There was a time of therapy. Everything was hard. My eyesight was perfect. Everything, no pain in my body. Until this day, I have no pain. My dad is a scientist, so he kept telling me, he doesn't bother me anymore. But for many years, he goes, don't go do a blood test. Make sure you don't have lupus. Go do a blood test. And I'm perfect. I had a miracle. But the real miracle for me was my process, because the nurse told me something that really, really touched me, and I still apply it today. And she said, remember what faith really is. Faith is seeing what you cannot see. And that is faith. So you got to speak. The most important muscle we have in our body is our tongue, because the tongue is what brings life or death to you. Whatever you speak is what you'll attract in your life. So she told me, you're going to look at yourself in the mirror and you're going to say, I have beautiful hair. You're not going to look at the circumstance. You're going to believe in the impossible. And you're going to look at your legs and you're going to go, I can walk. So I did that for 6-7 months. I never said to myself, I don't have hair, and I don't, and I cannot walk, until the feelings started coming back. I started feeling, and when I went to Argentina.
That must have been amazing.
Yes, an amazing experience. But it's where I started believing that miracles exist. Tiny miracles and big miracles, and it really will depend on how you speak. And I really loved what she said. The strongest muscle, the most powerful muscle you have is your tongue. And of course, it's your mind, because you speak what you feel in your 5 senses, but it's the control of that muscle. When I was in Argentina, that's where my real Pilates journey started, the beginning of Pilates. Because I started going little by little. I had a cousin of mine, take me on a wheelchair. And now that I know about Pilates. In that moment, I didn't. It was a contemporary studio. I didn't know anything. So I just went wherever. And it was a beautiful studio. And the owner was very touched by my story and wanted to help me. As I was mostly on the chair, high chair and reformer, I started having feelings again. My legs started reacting, my toes, everything started coming back to me. Even though I didn't have any pain, my articulations felt weak. And I did Pilates twice a day, in the morning and the afternoon. I was obsessed. Again, this is a good obsession. And I started nonstop for a whole year in Argentina, for a whole year. The owner of the studio was so touched that she said, I want to invite you to a party we're going to have here at my studio tonight. I was walking already, very slow. I had a cane. I was walking.
Oh, so you graduated from the wheelchair.
Yes.
That must have been an amazing moment
Yes.
also, being able to stand up using the strength that you started feeling in the Wanda chair, I'm sure.
Yes, I was doing a lot. I was doing everything. Wanda chair, especially the Cadillac on the leg springs. The Cadillac was probably the reformer was not as much as the chair in the Cadillac,
Yeah.
the reformer, but the Cadillac was probably the main one that I used the most to help me rehab. Using all three, the faith, believing, and speaking, and Pilates. And I can guarantee that Pilates, maybe I don't know how well they were teaching me, but you see, it's like life. If this is all you have, it doesn't matter if it's classical or contemporary, it's going to help you. We can't be so rigid in those things. If you don't do classical, it's not going to work. Look at me. I took whatever, I didn't even know what classical or contemporary meant. I just said, give me, I need it, and everything will work for you. And then you can start aligning wherever you want to go, whatever way you want to go. But I had a good teacher. She cared for me. She wanted to make me feel better. And that's what the humanity is what really matters. If the person that's teaching is engaged with her body and knows how to connect with other people's bodies.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. And so that moment of walking was such a beautiful moment in my life. My mom was with me in Argentina, but my dad had to work, so he was in Costa Rica. I stayed in Argentina for a year and a half. And when I went to that party, I sat next to two guys, and those two guys, I didn't know who they were. And I told them my story, and they were like, we want to invite you to our Pilates workshop. We want you to be part of this Pilates workshop. And I go, what? No, I don't know anything about Pilates. And it doesn't matter. You're meant to come to our, and this was Michael King.
Michael King.
Yes, Michael King. He was the first person I ever met in the Pilates International, and I know he's contemporary too, but he was an angel because I went to his workshop and I was very scared. It was a 1 week workshop. And at the end of the whole week, he said, you have to become an instructor. You have the gift. And I go, what? No, I'm going to, and then I was about to say, I'm going to be an actress. I wanted to say. And then he goes, what were you going to say? And I told him, I think I have to be an actress. That's what I was born for. And he goes, well, you can do both. He goes, you can be an actress and a Pilates instructor. Go for it. He goes, I wrote to my dad. I won't forget. He goes, hey, I met this guy. He wants me. And my dad go, let me check if there's anything in Costa Rica. And there was no studios in Costa Rica, not one.
Oh.
And he goes, do it. He told me there's not one single studio. Come and open the business.
Okay. He's a businessman for sure.
Yes. Yes. And here I am.
You were the first. So you were the first Pilates studio in Costa Rica.
There was one girl in Costa Rica. I think we opened at the same time. I think she opened probably 3 months before me. Her name was Erica Sanchez. When I decided to do that, I think I was a little crazy because I was just only 2 years doing Pilates. I had no certification, no nothing. And what happened was, this is another miracle. I bought all the equipment. I go and open a studio in Costa Rica. And I started crying, saying, oh my God, I open in a week and I don't have instructors. And there's nobody qualified in Costa Rica. what am I going to do? I wasn't qualified yet. And right there in that moment, they knocked on my door.
Who's they?
It was a couple from San Francisco.
What?
Yeah. And they were American saying, hey, do you need Pilates instructors? And I was like, oh my God. They were both certified in the Pilates Center in Boulder, Colorado.
Oh my.
They opened my studio. So, and then I got certified with him. And then another amazing angel coach, I call them all angels, is Michael Miller, who taught me a lot. I started growing and I started getting trained by Jay Grimes, Kathy Ross Nash, Chris Robinson, Ton and Michael, and all these people. I was blessed to receive their training. We should never stop training. And this is how I opened my studio in Costa Rica. One of the things that I realized when I opened the studio was that I never advertised. Because I don't have the studio anymore, but when I had the studio, I never did any advertising. And all the people who came to me were people with physical pain problems, because that was my mission from the beginning. I mean, I'd love to train athletes and all, whatever. But if you bring me somebody in a wheelchair, I would be happy because I was there. I know how that feels. And there's nothing impossible.
When did you decide that teaching the Pilates method was the right path for you?
For me, the right path was the moment I knew that this is not just a list of exercises, but it's a healing process. And when I experienced that it healed my body and it did so many transformations physically, mentally, and spiritually, I knew this was my path. I knew this was my path because I figured out that this is just much more than exercise. It's not just a list of exercises that he created. He went much more profound than just exercising. This whole process that I went through made me realize that I do want to share this to the world. I do want to share it with other people who have gone through what I've gone through, or maybe not so hardcore like me, but even if they're any type of physical or even
Challenges.
yes, challenges that we live, it's gonna work. Pilates is gonna work. Pilates changes your life. It's a lifestyle. It's not just going to the gym and working out. So this is where I realized I wanted to make that change for people's lives too.
And remember, you were saying to me that Pilates can be involved in every single moment of your life. Remember when you were saying that to me?
Yes, Pilates is very present because what I realized that is that Pilates involves, like we say, body, mind, and spirit. And you've got to learn to be really present when you do these exercises. And to learn that, you have to become your own observer. So for me, the spirit is not what did he really mean by spirit? Because it wasn't like you don't end Pilates like in yoga where you're meditating and all this. The spirit becomes you as the third eye, your observer. So you really understand that you need to connect your spirit, which means you have to be present and aware of all the details, because Pilates is all about the details of how you're doing the exercises. And it's much more than just going to the studio, doing the exercise. You want to take Pilates with you in your life when you're driving, when you're at the supermarket, when you're at the bank, when you're doing other type of sports, and learn how to have the observer, your spirit, be observing you the whole time. So you keep that correct posture. So you keep that correction in your abdominal muscles and your shoulders, the alignment that we want to create constantly, because, we're constantly fighting gravity. So if we are fighting gravity because gravity is pulling us down, we need to learn to be present and learn how to observe ourselves in a good way, not in a critical way.
Does your previous acting influence how you teach Pilates?
Oh, yeah. For me, it's been a gift to have learned about the Meisner technique by Stanford Meisner in New York. And it has been a gift to have learned from Joseph Pilates. I mean, learn not from him, learn the method, because I think they're both geniuses. They both say something that are equally the same. Joseph Pilates talks about being present in the moment of your exercise, and Meisner talks to you about living moment to moment, present in the moment. This helped me to understand how I have to live in the present, first of all, for myself as a person, and learn to observe myself, accept myself, and learn to be not in a critical mind, but learning to let go and feel my body in the moment of the now. It helped me as a teacher and as a coach just to learn through the acting, through the Meisner technique, how to be present with my client, how to understand, read their body, how to connect through intuition, how to read their body language. And if I'm in my head trying to think about my class and, okay, what am I going to do? I'm never going to read my client. I'm never going to connect with my client. And Meisner technique teaches you how to empty your mind. I remember an acting coach said, cut your head off, leave it outside. We don't need logic. And we need to learn to listen to the heart, to our emotions in the moment of the now. So I want to apply that. I want to apply that with my client. I want to listen to him and not be on my ego and saying, oh, I'm going to give him this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this exercise. I got to let it all go and trust that I know the work, and I'm going to trust it's going to work on the client. And for me to do that, I really have to be present. I really have to listen to him, listen to his body language. And you know what? We can have a class prepared, and suddenly he comes. I've had clients come literally on a wheelchair because they have a cast. My class is not going to work if I have it all prepared. There, I got to listen to the spirit, listen to the intuition, trust myself that the method works and not be afraid, and learn to connect with my clients. And this is what it's all about. This is why acting, especially the Meisner technique, I'm really talking about Meisner, taught me how to be a sensitive person, humble, and learn to let go of myself and be there for the person, be there for my client.
I think that's fantastic advice because there are, as you know, a lot of egos in this community.
Yeah.
And perhaps it's just misguided thinking. And if we had more opportunities and been given permission, as I always say, to be a conduit opposed to the star on stage, because it's not really about you as the teacher. You have to listen to the student. Yes, Romana would say over and over again, you have to work with the body in front of you, but it goes deeper than that. You have to know how to listen and to have your intuition developed enough so you can read what that student really needs. And I'm wondering if your certification program brings this kind of thought processes in. And is that one reason why your program is different than there are so many on the market now?
Yes, there's so many. And I decided after almost 14 years of teaching, after 14 years, you got to have experience of teaching before going into type of certification. I decided that in Costa Rica, there was a lack of teachers. And I was bringing teachers from the US and it's very expensive. So I said, I want to create my certification program. But because I'm an artist, because of my creative mind, I searched around. I even did my own certification, and I searched around that most certification programs worldwide, classical, contemporary, they just teach you a list of exercise and their objective and their purpose, and that's it. Maybe they'll adapt for different bodies. That's it. And I've noticed that in this world of Pilates, we have a lot of just instructors, just Pilates instructors who are kind of like a robot teaching, right? And yes, they might teach them how to vocalize visualizations, but I wanted something more. I wanted it in my certification program. I wanted to add the Meisner technique. So I did a lot of investigation. How do I add this method to my teacher's training program, which is what makes me different? And so I do teach the classical. I do teach the sequence just as Joe did it, and the purpose and the goal, and we work on that. But besides that, I'm going to teach each of my instructors how to find their creative identity. Who are they? Because they need to discover who they are to become unique in their classes, especially if it's group classes that now we have. If you've noticed, so many studios are with like 6, 8, 10 reformers. You need to know how to be creative enough to teach a class like that in a group class. And we have a whole bunch of tower mats, and you need to be creative enough. And I'm not saying that teaching Pilates is boring. I want to make that clear, right? And it could be, but some clients might find it boring. It's not for everybody. But you as a teacher, if you're going to teach one class after another, you need to know how to maintain that energy. how not to lose your purpose in listening to the client. Because at one point you're going to be in your mind and go, I'm exhausted. I want this class to be over. So the method, my certification, is teaching them also how to manage their energy, especially if they're going to give too many classes, how to know not to receive negative energy from the client sometimes, or from a group or from a studio, but how to build your character, how to make your class unique, how to find yourself as an X factor that makes you different as an instructor, and not just be a common instructor teaching a whole list of exercises.
Okay,
You
let
know?
me ask you something. So, if
Yeah.
someone were to go through your certification program along with the repertoire that we have been taught, you are offering a Meisner kind of addition so that your potential new teachers in your studio, for example, you are helping them develop their creativity identity. Is that part of the Meisner thinking?
I actually called it, my own method is called FAM, Fusion Art Movement. So I adapted the Meisner because I can't really teach 100% Meisner because it's more focused on acting. Even though I've taught Meisner to lawyers, to presidents, I've taught this to corporate companies because Meisner will teach us how to fight our fears. And some teachers also, it doesn't matter what kind of teacher you are, you're going to be sometimes have a little bit of fear making because you feel insecure. And it teaches you how to get rid of your bad habits. We might have tics in ourselves. I had a teacher that always snapped her finger all the time. And it's not going to be good the whole time. Some clients going to be tired of that. So I grabbed the Meisner technique and I adapted it to movement. This is why I called it FAM, movement, art, and fusion, art, and movement. It's my own technique to teach them how to use the acting technique to teach, to expand, to find their creative. And we do experimental exercises. And
Well, that sounds fun.
so I work with them challenging their minds. During my certification, they have to show me a creative class, finding themselves, finding what makes them different. It's not changing the sequence. It's not trying to put, pole dance or anything, it's not, it's them.
You're asking them to be real.
Yes. And I'm asking them to trust their selves, that they are special. Because when you die to your ego, you really understand how to open up and listen to your client. And that's part of the method.
You've had such a journey from being in a coma, hearing the word for the first time, Pilates, in a coma, all the way to where you are now. Sounds like a really creative, open-hearted kind of certification program. What would you say the method means to you now, opposed to when you were just in recovery and healing?
That's a great question. I think the method feels to me as a life-changing experience. And the method is not only here to teach us to exercise our body and have a lean body and have great muscles, or it's here to transform us as people. And first of all, learning that it's a lifestyle more than just going to the Pilates studio, exercising, sweating a bit, and then leaving. It's a lifestyle for me. It changed my life. It changed my mind because I never thought that this could help me heal and make me walk again. So how could it not be? For me, Pilates, it came to me. I didn't look for it. So Pilates
Totally came to you. My goodness.
yeah, Pilates told me I can help you heal. I can help you walk. Of course, I'm integrating a lot of faith, and I don't want people to think, oh, I've heard people, you got healed, but my daughter didn't. It's very special because you got to integrate a lot of things. This is why my certification has to do with integration of many things, and not just the method of Pilates. But what it means to me in my life right now, it's a lifestyle that I want to live. And what I want others to feel is that when they do Pilates, it's a life-changing experience in their lives. If my client can tell me my life is changing because of Pilates, I feel I'm successful. I feel like, okay, this is my purpose in life. Because let me tell you that every person that comes to Pilates has some type of healing to do, no matter what. Let it be a dancer, broken knees, whatever.
Whether they know it or not.
Exactly. I had people come totally fit and they go, I feel lighter when I run now. That's it. That's what I want. I want their life to change as they do other things and not just a list of exercises.
Yes.
I want Pilates
Yes.
to be
Yes.
proud that, that this method
Yes.
is changing lives.
How can people reach out to you? Do you have a website?
I do have a website, but it's getting developed. It's going to be it's called oneflowpilates.com. But they can find me in Instagram. It's called One Flow Pilates. And that's where I'm managing myself the most, by Instagram at this moment. And it's called One Flow Pilates. And the website, they're building it just now. But everything is on
What about
Facebook.
your email? If somebody wants to email you.
My email is oneflowcenter@gmail.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing your amazing story and talk about healing, and keep healing yourself, and through that, keep healing others.
Yes. And I love sharing this. And I just hope that the most important message is Pilates heals.
All Things Pilates is produced, written, edited, and hosted by me, Darien Gold. Mastered audio mix, Fabian Romero. Original music, a.k.a. Johnny. If you're enjoying this show, we would love for you to leave a review on Apple Podcast, so you can let others know what you like or love about All Things Pilates. Also, if you're interested in helping to support this podcast, become a subscriber. It helps with the back-end costs that accrue when producing a show. To learn more about our growing community, check out our show notes. There are two ways of spreading light: to be the candle or the mirror that reflects it. Edith Wharton, novelist, poet, and designer.